Hello everyone. Today, I would like to introduce the JDS8000 series function or arbitrary wave signal generator. Introduction to the front and rear panels. First of all, you can see that the appearance of the instrument is beautiful and generous. With a 2.8-inch high-definition LCD screen, silicone buttons, a knob and BNC connectors. Press the power button to enter the initialization setting interface. You can choose Chinese and English languages. Select English to enter the English interface. MEM is the save and recall button. Inbox is the number input button. And Shift is the shortcut key. The function soft keys on the right side of the screen correspond to the menus on the right side of the screen. Press the Wave button to select different waveforms. Press the MOD button to enter the modulation function. Press the Size button to enter the system settings. Let's first introduce the system settings. Clear storage used to clear the parameters stored in the current location. Sound setting, you can turn on or off the key sound. Brightness adjustment, you can quickly adjust the brightness through the knob. Language setting, English and Chinese languages can be selected. Built-in wave number selection, there are 0 to 21 groups of built-in waves. And 22 to 39 groups are built-in arbitrary waves of the PC software. Up to 99 groups of arbitrary waveforms can be stored. Waveform loading mode, automatic and fast modes can be selected. System information, you can view information about the instrument. Press the page soft key to enter the second page of system settings. Waveform synchronization, frequency synchronization, amplitude synchronization, offset synchronization, duty cycle synchronization. CH1 channel is the operation object during synchronization, and the parameters of CH2 channel change with the change of the parameters of CH1 channel. External synchronization used for instruments of the same model. 2 or more multi-stage parallel synchronous output. Frequency fine adjusting, you can fine adjust the frequency online. Reset, press the page soft key to enter the third page of system settings. Automatic power on, after the automatic power on function is turned on, the instrument is powered on and output by default. Note that it needs to be saved in time after turning on. CH1 amplitude fine adjusting, you can fine adjust the CH1 amplitude online. CH2 amplitude fine adjusting, you can fine adjust the CH2 amplitude online. Help information, you can view related help information. Press the Wave button to return to the main interface. Press the Sweep button to enter the sweep function. Press the VCO button to enter the voltage-controlled sweep function of the external input signal. Press the MES button to enter the measurement function. The Out button is the main signal output switch. The CH1 button is the channel 1 signal output switch. And the CH2 button is the channel 2 signal output switch. When the green lights of the CH1 and CH2 buttons are on, it means that the signal output is turned on. And when the green lights of the CH1 and CH2 buttons are off, it means the output signal is off. External modulation signal input connector. External signal input connector. Channel 1 signal output connector. Channel 2 signal output connector. Arrow keys. When we select a waveform, we can press the direction keys to switch waveforms, or rotate the knob to switch waveforms. Press and hold the left direction key to lock the keys to prevent accidental touches. and press and hold the right direction key to unlock. Next, let's look at the rear panel of the signal source. The GND ground terminal. The external synchronization interface. The power switch. The AC power socket. The DC 5V3 power socket. The communication interface. And the TTL expansion interface. Dual-channel waveforms display. Next, we will demonstrate the dual-channel waveforms. Press the Wave button, and the waveform will be selected on the screen. At this time, you can turn the knob to select the corresponding waveform: sine wave, square wave, pulse wave, triangle wave, ramp CMOS wave, DC level, partial sine, half wave, full wave, normal staircase, inverse staircase, positive trapezoid, inverse trapezoid, noise wave, exponential up, exponential down, log up, log down, sine pulse, multitone, Lorentz pulse. 99 kinds of user-defined waveforms can be stored in the instrument. And there are 160 kinds of built-in arbitrary waveforms in the PC software, including arbitrary waveforms commonly used in various industries. And the waveforms can be stored in the corresponding position through the PC software. It is very convenient to call out the arbitrary waveform through our signal generator for output, and avoid the tedious steps of editing arbitrary waveforms. Press the Wave button again. The function soft keys on the right side of the screen correspond to some commonly used waveforms. And press the corresponding function soft keys to quickly recall the waveform. Press the CH2 button to switch the instrument to the Channel 2 interface. And press the Wave button to see the waveform switching of Channel 2. The two channels are completely independent and have the same performance output. The two channels can output the same or different waveforms. In the system settings, we enable frequency synchronization and waveform synchronization. At this time, press the Wave button to return to the main interface, and the waveforms of two channels can be adjusted at the same time. Press the Phase soft key. We can adjust the phase difference of channel 2 through the knob. And we can see that the phase difference of the two channels is 180 degrees. Spectrum characteristic display. Next, we will demonstrate the spectral characteristics of the sine wave. We can see that the current waveform is a sine wave. And we can see the relevant parameters of the sine wave: frequency, amplitude, offset, duty, and phase. Press the function soft key corresponding to the frequency to select the frequency. And the frequency can be increased or decreased arbitrarily by adjusting the knob. You can also enter the value through the inbox button. And then rotate the knob to select the frequency unit. We set the frequency to 10.56 kHz and observe the waveform. We set the frequency to 1 MHz and increase the frequency to observe the waveform changes. The instrument has two models, JDS8060 and JDS8080. The sine wave frequency output range of JDS8060 is up to 60 MHz. And the sine wave frequency output range of JDS8080 is up to 80 MHz. The instrument demonstrated in the video is the JDS8060. We readjust the frequency to 10 kHz. Press the function soft key corresponding to the amplitude to select the amplitude. And adjust the amplitude with the knob. Let's first show some waveforms at small amplitudes. This is the signal waveform of 0.01 peak to peak. We increase the amplitude to observe the waveform. And when it is within 1 MHz, the amplitude can reach a maximum of 25 peak to peak. Switch the waveform to square wave. And check the square wave at different frequencies in turn. 100 Hz square wave. 2 MHz square wave. 8 MHz square wave. 15 MHz square wave. 8. Adjust the frequency to 15 kHz. And switch the waveform to pulse wave. The square wave is a pulse wave with a fixed duty cycle of 50%. The duty cycle of the pulse wave is continuously adjustable. Press the function soft key corresponding to the duty cycle. Adjust the duty cycle. The maximum duty cycle is 99.99%, and the minimum is 0.01%. Switching the waveform to a triangular wave. We can increase the frequency and observe the change of the triangular waveform. Switch the waveform to the ramp. The duty cycle of the ramp can be adjusted, and the ramp with different slopes can be obtained through the duty cycle. Switch the waveform to CMOS wave, and the amplitude of the CMOS wave can be adjusted freely. Switch the waveform to the DC level, and change the voltage of the DC level by adjusting the offset. The offset range of the DC level is 9.99 to 12 V. Modulation function display. Next, I will show you the modulation function. Press the MOD button to enter the modulation function. The modulation functions include AM, FM, PM, ASK, FSK, PSK, pulse and burst. First, we press the soft key to select the type. Select the amplitude modulation function by rotating the knob. And adjust the modulation frequency and carrier frequency. The modulation depth ranges from 0% to 200%. By changing the modulation depth of the modulation wave, you can see the waveform changes of the modulated wave. The JDS8000 can accept modulation waveforms from internal or external modulation sources. Press Source to select internal or external modulation source. After selecting the internal modulation source, press the Shape soft key to select Sine wave, Square wave, Triangle wave, Ramp up, Ramp down, and Arbitrary wave as the modulation source. Default is Sine wave. Switch to the FM function. You can see the FM waveform, modulation frequency, carrier frequency, and frequency deviation can be adjusted. Press Source to select internal or external modulation source. After selecting the internal modulation source, press the Shape Soft key to select Sine wave, Square wave, Triangle wave, Ramp up, Ramp down, and Arbitrary wave as the modulation source. Switch to the phase modulation function, and the range of phase deviation is 0 degree to 359.9 degrees. Switch to Ask function. The range of ask amplitude is 0% to 200%. Switch to FSK function. You can adjust the speed and frequency modulation. Switch to PSK function. PSK phase range is 0 degree to 359.9 degrees. Switch to the pulse function. The pulse width is 0.01 microseconds to 40 seconds. The pulse period is 0.001 microseconds to 4 seconds. And the pulse width and pulse period are changed. Switch to the burst function. The trigger source can be selected key trigger, internal trigger, external AC trigger, and external DC trigger. Select key burst. The range of the number of pulses is 1 to 10 for 8575. We set the number of pulses to 5. Press trigger the button to observe the waveform. In the burst function, idle can be set to 0, positive maximum and negative maximum. We can see the waveform changes in 3 idle modes through the oscilloscope. Sweep function display. Next, we will show you the sweep function. Press the sweep button to enter the sweep function. Both channels can be enabled the sweep function. The frequency sweep function. Firstly, the start frequency and the stop frequency are the upper and lower frequency limits of the frequency sweep. Sweep times range from 0.01 seconds to 640 seconds. The sweep direction can be selected from 3 directions round trip, increasing and decreasing. Sweep mode can choose between linear and logarithmic modes. Press the on soft key. The instrument starts sweeping, and you can observe the change of the waveform frequency. Switch to the sweep function. You can set the start amplitude, endpoint amplitude, sweep time, sweep direction, sweep mode. Press the on soft key. The instrument starts sweeping, and you can observe the change of the waveform amplitude. Switch to the sweep duty cycle function. Switch the waveform to pulse wave. You can set the start duty cycle, endpoint duty cycle, sweep time, sweep direction, sweep mode. Press the Start Soft key. The instrument starts sweeping the duty cycle. Changes in the duty cycle of the waveform can be observed. Voltage control function display. Next, I will introduce the voltage control function of the external input signal. First, we use the CH1 channel of the JDS8000 arbitrary or function signal generator to output a DC level signal, and connect the CH1 connector of the JDS2900 and the MOD connector of the JDS8000 through the BNC cable. Press the VCO button to enter the voltage control function, and the voltage control function of the dual channels can be enabled. The voltage control function firstly, which can set the start frequency and stop frequency within the frequency range. Voltage calibration. The maximum and minimum voltages can be set from 0 to 5V. Set the DC level offset to 0V. Press the Measure Soft key and the minimum voltage calibration can be enabled. And when the DC level is set to 5V, press the Measure Soft key and the maximum voltage calibration can be enabled. Press the On Soft key to start the voltage control. By changing the offset of the DC level, we can see the change of the waveform frequency. Switch to the amplitude control function. You can set the start amplitude, endpoint amplitude, minimum voltage calibration, maximum voltage calibration, and voltage control mode. Press the Start Soft key. The instrument starts to voltage control the frequency. Adjust the offset of the DC level, and you can see the waveform change in amplitude. Switch the waveform to pulse wave. Enter the voltage control duty cycle function. Adjust the DC level and observe the waveform change. Measurement function display. Next, I will introduce the measurement and counter functions. Output a signal from the PSG9000 and connect it to the XT connector of the JDS8000. Press the MES key to enter the measurement function, and press the counter and measurement soft keys to switch between the measurement mode and the counter mode. In the measurement mode, AC coupling and DC coupling can be selected, and the gate time can be set. When the measurement frequency is greater than 2000 Hz, the high frequency can be selected. And when the measurement frequency is less than 2000 Hz, the low frequency can be selected. Adjust the duty cycle of the input signal to see the change in the measurement data. In counter mode, you can choose between AC coupling and DC coupling, and press the Run Soft key to start counter. Thank you all for watching.